will never amount to nothing. Tear me down before my life begins. I won't be afraid to challenge myself. They won't ever break my fire. My dreams will die if I high five the sky.
Hey guys, this is Joshua here, and I wanted to talk to you guys about tech cards. Tech cards meaning things that you should either main deck or side deck, which I'll tell you which I prefer to do. These are things that can help against some of the meta, like Shaddolls, Burning Abyss, Clifforts, and some of the stuff is even put in here for Neckloths, which are coming out next month. I feel like Neckloths are going to be kind of game-breaking. Clifforts are a very annoying deck to deal with, and surprisingly, Neckloths have a very good matchup against Clifforts. At least the duels I've seen. I haven't actually seen one single duel where Clifforts completely annihilated Neckloths, and I haven't seen a duel where Neckloths completely annihilated Clifforts. So anyway, Mystical Space Typhoon, of course, every deck, and I mean every deck, should run 2 to 3 copies of this, just because a lot of things are either continuous or like pendulums or just, continuous spell or trap card. And Mystical Space Typhoon, even though it's a very old card, it gets around a lot of things in the meta right now, which like Vanity's Emptiness, which I will get to later, and pendulums, of course, like Clifford Scout. Burial from a Different Dimension, I've been citing this in against Neckloths, and the reason being is because when they get that Jinn Releaser of Rituals, or whatever its name is, in their Banish Zone, you pretty much lose the game, especially if your deck relies on special summoning, which if you're playing against Neckloths, you're going to be needing to do some special summoning if you want to win. And when she gets in that Banish Zone, you cannot do a single thing. So you need this to put her back into the graveyard. Also, you can use this against Spirit Beasts, which are another deck coming out in February. Tabby, don't bark. Sorry, my dog. Because when all of the trainers and Spirit Beasts are in their Banish Zone, they're pretty much all in play. So you can use this to put them all in the graveyard, and that kind of shuts them down because they need them to be in the Banish Zone. So that helps against them as well. Snatch Steal, you should run one in any deck now because it seriously can change the game around. I actually did successfully Snatch Steal a Shien from a Six Samurai player. It was so funny. I will show you guys the replay in another video, which I'll post shortly after this video. But it was so funny, and just you have to watch it. It was so cool. But anyway, Snatch Steal, it really helps out because you can take oh yeah, I will say this. The only bad thing about Snatch Steal, which I know I shouldn't even be complaining, is that it can only, of course, take face up because you can't equip it to a face down anyway. But I feel like that's kind of poor against Shaddolls unless they have Winda or Construct out on the field. But otherwise, this card is so overpowered, and I don't even know why it came back. It should not have even come back. This can seriously change a duel around, and yeah, you should just run one. Mind Crush. Mind Crush is good against everything in the meta, pretty much, except, I guess, Burning Abyss. But it can be one card name. It doesn't even have to be a monster, a spell, or trap. It can be any of them. And it's so crazy against Neckloths because they search out so much, and you can just Mind Crush it, no cost at all. So it's very strong against a lot of the meta decks. Any quick-paced deck that searches, Mind Crush it, and don't have to worry about it unless it's Dark World. But nobody uses those anymore. Needle Sealing. Needle Sealing is a card that I have actually been main decking in a few decks, and I don't know, it really depends on the deck, but it doesn't hurt Shaddolls at all. But this really helped out against a Satellar Knight player. It was so funny. I don't have the replay because it was actually in real life. I was using Fluffles, it seems like, and he was using Teller Knights, and he was just special summon, special summon, special summon, special summon, and I was like, okay, Needle Sealing, and it pretty much just screwed him over. You do have to watch out for that one Teller Knight trap card, the counter trap, but I won't get into that. Anyway, Needle Sealing is pretty interesting against decks that swarm up the field, and I don't side deck it, I only main deck it in a few decks, but I feel like when Spirit Beasts come out, that this would be good because they special summon everything, and they'll have like 4 or 5 monsters out on the field, so you can just Needle Sealing and destroy them all, and they go to the graveyard, and like I said, with Burial from a Different Dimension, they work in the Banish Zone. Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, because it doesn't bounce or pop, it actually puts them onto the top of the deck, and it can be either spell or trap. Um, and then they would have to top deck, and they would top deck whatever you put back. So it kind of stops them from getting an extra draw, and it only costs you a discard, which, doesn't really hurt you. Vanity's Emptiness, of course, so strong they really do need to limit or ban this, preferably limit. But this is so game breaking. It can really screw over deck, especially if they don't have like Mystical Space Typhoon to chain to it or anything. So, Vanity's Emptiness, of course, you should run in any deck. Royal Command, I've been citing this in against Baby Raccoons and Shaddolls. Absolutely shuts down their entire deck. Everything that they're meant to do, it's just shut down. So, very helpful. Mind Drain, which in the OCG it's called Mental Drain, that kind of threw me off. Mind Drain I think that came out in Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy. I don't remember. It was one of those, but Mind Drain is very strong against not Cliffords, Neckloths. Neckloths just fall apart when this is on the field, because they activate cards in their hand to search out, like Gishkis too. It also crushes Gishkis, but Gishkis aren't exactly meta. So Neckloths, they activate and discard. So when you have Mind Drain, it basically shuts down their entire searching system, and they can't do anything unless they have Mystical Space Typhoon or something to get rid of your Mind Drain, which a lot of the Neckloths decks, I haven't even seen any of them use Mystical Space Typhoon because they're just so fast-paced they don't need it. But Mind Drain really screws them over, and it's so surprising to actually see Mind Drain come out, and it's just so strong against Neckloths. And nobody uses Mind Drain because it is arguably the worst drain trap card there is, but against Neckloths, there's just like GG, and you have the game. So Soul Drain, I've been main decking this a lot because everything, it seems, in the meta activates from the graveyard. Shaddolls, Burning Abyss, just so many decks activate in the graveyard. Even floaters like Hat has the hands in it. Just floaters or anything, it's just so annoying to deal with. Soul Drain says no to everything, and it's just so great. And depends what deck you use it in. Of course, I wouldn't use it in like a Mermail deck or something. But yeah, so Divine Wrath. This is a very interesting trap card, and I think it got reprinted in the 2014 Superstarter, I believe. Don't hate me if I'm wrong, but it's very good, and it's only a common. So when an effect monster is activated, discard a card, negate the activation if you do destroy it. It lets the monster be summoned, but once it uses its effect, you can just negate and destroy it and say no. And of course, they can't chain Trap Stun or Royal Decree or anything to it because it's counter trap. So it's awesome, really. Black Horn of Heaven, so many decks special summon now, and I don't know why. I haven't seen anybody using Black Horn of Heaven. Just stops everything, which is very nice. Curse Seal, the Forbidden Spell. I was so happy to see this come out in Astro Pack 6. It's so good against Cliffords, so good against Neckloths, so good against Shaddolls. I don't think this hurts Burning Abyss in any way. But anyway, what it does is discard one spell card, negate the activation and the effect of a spell card, and destroy it. Your opponent cannot activate spell cards with that name during the rest of the duel. That is seriously overpowered. Shaddol Fusion, nope, negate that. You can't use it. Of course, they still have El Shaddol Fusion. Any of the Neckloth ritual spells, negate it. Hey, you can't use that anymore. Because I think even though the Neckloths have like 3 different ritual spells, just stopping one, like the one that goes from the extra deck and lets you dump the Herald of Arclight, just negating one, and it's just crazy because it shuts them down. Of course, they still have the other one that they use, like Clydomere dumps from the extra deck. Exomere, that's what I'm thinking of. Actually, I think Exomere would probably be, well, I'm getting way off subject, but I think Exomere would probably be the most ideal one, because that banishes that stupid Djinn and shuts you down. So yeah, I use this. I actually main deck like 2 or 3 copies in almost every deck now, just because it is seriously game breaking, at least in my opinion. Also, we have Dark Bribe. Dark Bribe is kind of the alternative to Curse of the Forbidden Spell. It can also negate trap cards, And the only downside really is your opponent gets a draw card, but it's not that big of a deal. I prefer this over wiretap. In fact, I took all my wiretaps out of my Gishki deck and put Dark Bribes in because it negates spell cards, and I think spell cards, especially with the new meta decks, I'm not talking about Burning Abyss, I'm talking about Clifforts, Shaddolls, and Neckcloths. It can just really stop them. And, well, I mean, it can stop Burning Abyss too, because it stops Fire Lake, but I think Dark Bribe is probably one of the most viable trap cards in the game right now, at least in my opinion, aside from Vanity's Emptiness and Mind Crush. It also, you don't have to have a spell card in your hand like you do with Curse Seal, the Forbidden Spell. So really, you only have to worry about the card they draw or what else they have in their hand. So, very good. And I don't know why I don't have it in here. Oh man, I had one more. There it is. Dust Tornado. Dust Tornado is very interesting because it's kind of like Mystical Space Typhoon, although if you do destroy it, then you can set a spell or trap card from your hand, which is cool. If you like card D, activate it, you end your turn, you get a draw, and you draw a cool trap card, one that you probably would like on the field during your next turn, and during their end phase or wherever in their turn, Dust Tornado is something they have, and then you can set that, and then you can activate it on your turn. So it kind of speeds up your own trap cards, and really screws over your opponent at the same time, a lot like Mystical Space Typhoon. I've seen some decks running triple Mystical Space Typhoon and triple Dust Tornado, and I can honestly see why, especially with Vanity's Emptiness being at 3. Also, Clifforts, all of their pendulums are at 3, which is absolutely ridiculous. I think Cliffort Scout needs to be at least semi-limited, because having 3 searchers is just ridiculous, especially with Summoner's Art being at 3. It's just really annoying to deal with. So, these are my tech cards. If you have any tech cards that you think would be good in any side deck or even main deck, please share them in the comments below. I'd be very happy to see some cool card that I haven't even heard of. There were a few more that I wanted to mention, but I forget their names at the moment. So hopefully I'll have a video on more spells and trap cards that should be main decked or even side decked. I'm not talking about monsters. Spells and traps are really what I'm mainly concerned about. So I hope these gave you some good ideas for some side deck or main deck choices. So I will see you in my next video, and subscribe.